I don't think there's a few of those. I think that's pretty much all of them.
Yeah, a lot of
No, I'm
them
talking about.
And that's where the force comes from. The force comes from
abroad.
Well, I'm talking
Abroad.
about abroad. But what I'm talking about people who are,
sham marriages,
well,
not forced marriages. That's a very good point. Sham marriages, not
They
just
call it,
forced
there's a
marriages.
name for it. They call it paper marriages. So they
Yeah,
don't
that's it.
consummate.
Yeah.
They don't
So-
consume anything. That's both parties in agreement. So that is like you said, a sham marriage. So there's no.
Yeah, but some people that just want to come to a certain country, for
Yeah.
example, they know someone's already living in the UK, born and bred, right? And
Yeah, but
they
doing
turn
that
around
for
and says,
better. They're doing it for money, aren't they? There's a
yeah, they're doing it for
motive.
best money and to be extra, and just so they can get a status. So I don't want to mention any specific countries, but there's a lot of people that come from a certain place, get married, and then they don't stay in that relation, and they just get off,
Yeah.
and then they call the other person over from that country so they can have that relationship set up. So those are other examples where I know of
Yeah.
that has happened.
I do know that, and I also know where a forced marriage breaks down with a foreign national, but they've now received their stay or indefinite leave to remain, and then the original two who got forced to get married divorce, and then the other person then gets married to whoever they want now, whether that be from abroad or from the country that they're in. They then get married.
There's so many cases like that as well. Yeah. So it's the reverse as well. So sometimes it's the person from here doesn't want to marry, but sometimes the people that are coming over, they're just marrying, just waiting for that indefinite because they know they're not loved by the partner or not wanted. So they're just riding out the storm until they've got their visa, which
and then they
target.
can walk away.
Yeah, and then they
walk
can
away. Yeah.
do it. And there's so many people that unfortunately there's no way of reversing it. So they've toughened up the laws a little bit there because there's a lot of that's happening. But paper marriages, that's completely different. That's more like a business transaction. I'm not saying it's right. It's obviously wrong. It's illegal. I don't think it's ethical either, but that's what people do, unfortunately. That's just, they play the system. But we were talking about forced marriages, especially from, let's say, Islamic faith. I'm not sure about Christianity, but I know it goes on in Islam, unfortunately. Where do you stand with that, legally in Sharia law? That'd be quite interesting to find that one out.
Yeah. The other thing as well on top of this is a lot of wedding cards have this certain, I believe it's an ayat and a verse where it's the marriage or the partnership was made in heaven and sent down. And then where I've been told, or I'm sure everybody else has, this transaction is then completed by the parents. This is where the parents try to put in their authority or their position of what we tell you is right. But if the child says no, was that marriage or that partnership deemed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because if it was, I'm sure the two would be happy to be engaged or to meet together.
Right. Dims keeps calling me that I'm a scholar or a sheikh or a mufti or Molana. It's just all false because I ain't one. But I do know that Allah is the most merciful, Ghafur Rahim. So I'm sure if anyone has made some sort of errors, he'll be willing to forgive them. You just ask. You just have to ask for forgiveness sincerely.
True say. Right, so moving on, what do you think about marrying people from different backgrounds and different cultures? For example, do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Do you think that makes the marriage hard or easier? And what's your take on that?
I'll jump in. I don't think it matters as long as you can get on with the person.
Again, it depends on which way you're looking at it. Islamically is good because obviously it doesn't stop, you marrying just a certain caste or certain sort of people. So, so let's just say you're South Asian and you marry someone from a different background.
Right.
It's all good personally, but like I said, you should be getting along. But it is difficult because you got to look at will that family member take that person in? So
That's a very good point, Sol. You're right, because in Asian families, it's dying down in the UK. It's not happening as much, but in South Asia, it's still. If the boy marries the girl moves in with the boy's family. So this is the term. In a South Asian marriage, the girl is not marrying the boy. She's marrying the family. I don't think it's changing in Pakistan and South Asia.
It's not maybe as progressive as it is here, but it is slowly changing.
But in the UK, it's progressive. So yes, Sol is right. You've got to move in with the family. But if you're not going to be staying with them, it doesn't really matter.
But so different culture, so maybe the food's different, maybe
that's what I was actually the language barrier.
Yeah.
And then the other aspect is I was trying to say actual, for example, if they're not a Muslim and then they have to revert to be a Muslim, stuff like that. You understand? There's a lot for them to take in. So I'm talking about there was a South Asian girl on my street married a Caucasian person. So he has to then adapt and understand how his family would take him in. Then you had another aspect, someone who was
that shows a high level of commitment to me.
But
they're going to convert to Islam.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They might have just. I don't know. What I'm trying to say to you, like, they might have just converted just for that brief moment. I've heard that they're not getting along now. This is a story. They're not getting along. He's not fully committed to the religion. Again, I don't know. You don't know the full story.
You don't know what goes inside.
The story.
Just outside, it's just generally. Do you think it's easier or harder? I mean, there are obviously roadblocks.
I think it's harder. I
suppose it is. Okay, so in your opinion, what is a successful marriage and why? Well, ask that Niz first.
There has to be give and take. Equally. Literally, equally. It has to be. Otherwise, not a chance.
So a successful marriage is give and take.
Give and take.
And why is that?
You're never always going to get your way. You need to make sacrifices. But you can't make sacrifices 80% of the time. The other person has to sacrifice as well.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, Sol, same question to you. First of all, in your opinion, what's a successful marriage?
There's no successful marriage. That's I would say you just learn and ride the waves and then go on with it and try to find the middle ground from both of your aspects. So you find out, because everyone has good side and bad side, and whether you're male or female, and you try to meet the middle ground.
Yeah, so I think from both your answers, you're both saying pretty much to compromise is sort of the key here.
Yeah, that's the
way compromise. Yeah. So yeah, I think you can't argue with that. So you both said pretty much the same thing. So compromise would lead to a successful marriage, and that's
because it's
incumbent on both parties.
No two people can ever agree on the same thing
all the time.
There's never, like Sol said, there's no real love at first sight. It's I love this about you, but I hate this about you.
Yeah.
But that thing that I love about you is enough for me to be with you.
So yeah, but you also take the bad as well in it.
Exactly.
So you also you like the good about them, but you also take the bad and say, right, okay,
because
that's bad.
Because you're happy that the good
overshadows the bad.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. So there's got to be that compromise. It has to be both ways. It has to be both ways.
Yeah. So I mean, this episode turns into a bit more of an interview, but I guess it's only right because you're both married. So that brings me on nicely to my next question.
You not got any plans, have you, Dibs?
No, not yet. I don't. I'm still thinking. I'm on the fence. Depending on how you guys depending on how this episode goes, I might change my
I
mind.
think I know why.
Is that why you did the episode?
Yeah, just to see is it worth. So this brings me nicely on to my next question, and answer this honestly, as honest as you can be, right? Because this isn't rehearsed or anything. So, just be honest. Has your opinion on marriage changed over time?
How say? I don't understand the question fully.
So when you were go 20 years, go pre-marriage, right?
Pre-marriage.
You had an idea of marriage or a viewpoint or whatever. You had an expectation maybe. From that to now actually it's like almost, driving a car, you think of one thing, and then when you start driving, you think, oh, actually it's different. So now you actually are married and you've lived through it for a few years. Has your opinion, your ideals changed, or is it pretty much the same?
Okay.
If so, what?
So, like I said before, I was quite mature for my age.
Yes.
And this carried on through my young adulthood and into adulthood. So I had an idea of what I wanted from my marriage, from what I wanted in my married life. All of it went to pot the day my parents forced me to get married to someone I didn't want to.
So did you have an idea of what marriage would look like? And then you married and he's like,
For me,
is it completely different? Is it
for me
50-50?
For me and what I was willing to do. But I didn't get that, so I don't know. It's nothing like I expected. It's 0% of what I expected.
That's what I was getting at. Is it anything? So when you actually are married, or was it?
But that's the thing though. I was expecting one type of package, but they sent me something else.
Okay.
I was asking for a Hoover, but they sent me a blender.
Right. So, your take on that? So before you were married, your ideas of marriage and whatnot, your assumptions, your expectations, and then after being married, same, different, in what way, good, bad, however.
So I just jump in. I mean, I'm going to talk quite a bit, but it's quite literally when you were talking about the expenses. Literally, I had an idea of we are both going to work. We're both going to put in a percentage share
that's
matches
your expectation.
our income.
That was your expectation before. This is what you assume. You thought, I'm going to get married, my wife will work, I'll work, blah, blah, blah. But when it's actually happened, that's not what you found. That's not the package. So your expectations were changed.
But I didn't get that because it wasn't someone from here. It was someone from abroad.
Yeah.
No cultural values.
But there's a lot of women that do come from abroad and end up working here. So it's just the one that you've, however, it's panned out. So in terms of your expectations, it's not quite hit the
0% of my expectations.
Hit that note there. But yeah, Sol, yourself now.
I'm just thinking of blenders and hoovers now. I don't know why.
So I'm asking you to go back a bit, maybe 20 years ago, whatever. Try and think with that head, that Sol to this Sol. Think, wow.
I'd say 50-50 to be honest with you, because I was expecting marriage life to be married, obviously, with the wife and kids, which obviously that's happened.
I guess
I don't know about what
when you put it that way, maybe. Well, I did get some out of it. I'm married.
Yeah.
And
so you got the label, but that's the thing. So
I've got the label and I've got the kids.
With me being divorced, only thing I haven't got is a label. So I'm not married with kids. I don't have that label. So if I go back 20 years ago, in my head by this time, I thought I would be married with kids, but it's not panned out that way, and that's fine. But I'm not married at the moment, so I don't know how. I can't say, oh, this is how I thought marriage would be. So I'm trying to gauge from you guys. So yeah, sorry, carry on, Sol.
Yeah, sorry for butting in, Sol.
It's all right. Other than that, everything is a learning curve, to be honest with you. Even if you expect it, it never goes as planned. So you have to adapt. I mean, I don't know. As Niz was saying, and I think you were mentioning as well, like people from abroad, you got people from abroad working, but you got people that were born and raised here that don't work as well, that I've come across. So
Yeah.
it's give and take. It depends on.
Okay,
Depends
what
on.
you're expecting? Did you, Niz thought him and his wife would be working together? That's not panned out for him. Did you think or expect your wife would be working before marriage?
To be honest with you, women are the childbearers, men aren't. So from my perspective, is for 5 odd years they're not going to work anyway. So that was already in my head because you have to raise the child, isn't it? And motherly love needs to be given to the child for them to be raised. So it wasn't like long term that they won't be working, but later on in life maybe they were. So it could happen. But
That's
right
so
now,
interesting.
Kind of brings me nicely into my next question. So, whatever your ideals are about marriage and the rules and regulations regarding that, would those same rules apply to your kids when they get married, or will they change? If so, in what way? Should we let Sol go first on this one?
Sorry, you'll have to
So,
explain that question a bit more.
So you've got an idea of what marriage is. You're a married man now, okay? So you know how it is. You know what the rules are and the regulations. So would you expect the same for your kids when they get married, or will it change? And if so, in what way?
I think it would change because everything's ever changing, isn't it? I mean, think of it what it was 20 years ago. Like you were saying, there wasn't many divorce rates. Now there's a lot more. I'm not saying hope it increase. I hope it decreases. That's my opinion. But so that concept, that's what I'm trying to come across as. It's going to change because
the times are going to change. But my point is your ideals on marriage. So what you think a marriage should be or is, like you're defining the wife's role here, the husband's role here. Is that the same for your kids? So you expect your daughters to be at home cooking and cleaning, or do you expect to have careers, for example? Because your wives don't have careers from the sounds of it. None of them do. So
it's their choice personally. I don't force upon how they want to be. If they want to work, they can work. If they don't want to work, but then
so you're open.
But then it becomes the responsibility of the male. You understand? So the responsibility of the male overshadows all the females. So I have to look after my wife and my children. So when she gets married, it's then become the responsibility of the husband to then take the responsibility of the wife.
So okay, that's interesting. So you would say it's up to the husband whether she works or not, or stays at home.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. You're disagreeing, is what would you say?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's
if my wife turns around to me and says to me, I want this type of clothing, I want this type of house, I want this type of car, I want this type of jewelry. Yeah, okay, this is how much I can afford. You make up the difference.
Within means, obviously, not you can get that. You need to understand. But all women then says it depends on how the girl or should we say the child has been raised. So if a woman is very demanding, you're not going to expect that from the husband of hers. You can just say, right, you're getting married, for example, but don't expect a lot of things because this person doesn't have that disposable income. So you need to understand that you won't be getting the same thing. So Islamically, when she gets married, your responsibility as a father has then been transferred to the husband. That's how it is. So if you're not around, the responsibility then becomes to obviously your brothers, your uncles, and all that. A female has to be looked after in Islamically. A female person has to be looked after regardless. So when you got married, for example, your responsibility to look after yourself and your children. Now, it depends on how that person was taught. You can say, oh, I've got all this. No, but your means, you don't have that sort of disposable income. She has to then understand, right, okay, I can't demand a lot of stuff. I have to then say.
And what if they don't understand that? Then what?
That's again, she needs to be taught. You need to then have a communication with the parents. So unfortunately, you have to be with your in-laws, which is difficult. I understand it's a difficult card.
Yeah, they will.
It's not going to happen. I know. I agree with you. It's not going to happen.
They're not going to back me up.
Yeah, I know they're not going to back. I understand, and I feel sorry for you, and I empathize with you. But
no, I didn't say nothing about me, man.
I'm just saying.
The question more about your kids, like so Saul would basically let the husband decide. It's his choice because he's handed her over his responsibility. If he says work, fine. If he says no, don't work, then he'll probably say, look, listen to your husband. I'm assuming that's what you're saying, right?
In a sense, but it depends. Into if the woman, if my daughter comes around and says, "Oh, he's being hard," I'll have to sit down and have a chat with him as well. And I need to understand what's happening. I need to hear his point of view as well. She might give me one side of the event. He might give me a different story. So I need to look into it and then gather the gauge, and then I have to find a middle ground. Then you're going to be the mediator to think, right, you need to do this between you. You need to work it out. I'm sure
I agree with that.
Okay, guys. Once again, hope you enjoyed this episode. And just like a never-ending Bollywood movie, this episode shall conclude to its finale next week. So we hope you join us then. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.